So the topic that we're going to beat up reminds me or is related to the book of The Coming Wave. Do we have that handy?
You know what? We'll have it on a break here in just a moment. Mustafa Suleiman is absolutely hoping
thank you.
that we're going to give
We
him
have
a
our
good
own
plug.
grips. We are moving up in the world, but so here's the book, The Coming Wave. You introduce it.
Shit. So it's the coming wave from...
Welcome back to the Roundtable. We have a returning champion. We've had a couple of these so far, but glad to have Brad Serf back with us from Gibson Insurance. Today's topic, some similarities to what you've heard in prior episodes, and it's centered around AI. But this one is about what does it mean for the greater society as a whole. Brad, thanks again for being back with us today.
Good to be with you, Tony and Tom. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Always fun.
Yeah. So here's the book, The Coming Wave.
For those of you that don't know who Mustafa is, he's currently the CEO of Microsoft AI, and I would say he's one of the 4 or 5 people that are closest to AI in the world. And so if you haven't read this book, I would tell you that if Thomas Edison wrote a book on what he thought electricity might do for society, that's what you're looking at here.
Did electricity, was that a thing? Did it stick?
Well, early, for those of us in the South Bend, northern Indiana area, one of the first people to bring electricity was the bird cell factory. And, it turns out that it did stick around. Most factories are, in fact, electrified now.
Yes, well said.
When the power goes out at home, I just continue to flip light switches on and expect the refrigerator to be cold and the toilet to flush. And turns out it was important.
Right.
Well, all right, so when we think about this book and just AI in general, we're in this world right now. We see it here at VCIO Global almost every day, and that is clients and folks asking, how do we begin our AI journey? Now, there's a lot of companies out there that are well underway with this, which is fantastic, because there are some certainties here. One certainty is no industry is immune, no sector is immune. It's here to stay. I mean, the benefits are real. It's amazing if I look just 3 months ago where AI was and some of the stumbling blocks that we uncover, how they've not only addressed it, but surpassed it. You now have, we mentioned this in our last roundtable episode, technology called Gibberlink, and you have AI models talking to each other. Recognition that this is an AI model. Oh, we're an AI model too, and then, start communicating back and forth. Think of that. ChatGPT 5 was built in part from 4, so it's iterative on itself. It learns from itself. Are we approaching Skynet? I mean, it helps seeds this topic, this greater topic, but where's this going?
I think there's a couple of things. First, tremendous benefit, right? So maybe it's Cliff Notes. I'm paraphrasing just a little bit, but the concept that you just talked about with Skynet, Tony, and people say AI, but they jumble a lot of different concepts with AI, right? Machine learning, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
How do we, so robotics. So as the robot uses machine learning to do its task better and then is augmented with AI to improve that even more, and the machine starts to learn how to make a better machine, then if you think about areas like knee replacements, right? Healthcare, the improvements that we're going to see are going to bring tremendous benefit to society. But the efficiencies that you allude to are going to result in the elimination of a lot of white-collar employment.
So I was in a tournament member guest tournament with my son last weekend. I was the guest. Kind of humbling, but role reversal, right?
Yeah,
Used to being the caregiver. I am proud, very proud.
Yeah.
So, side comment to the topic here, but as you golf, golf to me is all about business, generally speaking. There's a leisure aspect to it, but I got to meet a lot of different individuals and their companies and got to know what they did. And two conversations were most interesting to me. One, once the gentleman found out what I do for a living, he said, "What's your take on AI?" And I could tell he was getting a little elevated about it. And I'm like, "Well, tell me more. Like, where are you going?" He goes, "Well, my daughter just got laid off." I said, "What's your daughter do?" She goes, she was a developer and, moved to this location to take on this new career. And 6 months later, she's unemployed. And I said, unfortunately, we see that, and not just with developers. You have content creators, you have paralegals, so there's that. And we're going to get more into this. Then there was a retired surgeon I talked to, and he's like, "Well, the good news is for my trade craft, there's still a human being going to be needed." I'm like, well, we're closer than you think, right? Because you have surgeons being able to perform procedures from afar. There's a robot over the knee. There's a robot over the chest cavity, and they're controlling it remote.
Right.
How far are we away from, just putting you up underneath this contraption, and then we'll see you in an hour or 4 hours when your procedure's done? I think that's coming.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, conversely, there are examples of people that maybe didn't have a degree track or an experience level that have been placed into a position with utilizing AI that shrunk the learning curve and allowed them to be very valuable to an organization because they figured out how to use AI and operate more efficiently and as a more experienced professional than would have been possible previously.
So I'm calling that the burn-in phase of what this technology is bringing. It's this is helping us get to a pretty abrupt reality. One path, and it's a great one, is that, okay, to go from a $100 million company to a $300 million company, we're going to let AI help us be more efficient, and we can scale without adding headcount. No one gets unemployed, and we're growing the company. That's great. The other path, when you have a larger company, we'll have, back to like the marketing departments, we have 20 content creators, 50 developers. There's going to be a calling there. There will be a reduction. I'm certain of it. But I say this is the burn-in phase because I feel like it's what's coming next. And so now I'll bring in a ex-Google C-suite exec who did a speech just recently. Now, one reaction to it was it's an apocalyptic tone that society as a whole is going to be in for a rude awakening. Or, maybe it is apocalyptic, but I do feel it's the reality of, so can AI help people do things better, faster, cheaper? Of course. But ultimately, it's just the nature of capitalism. Are you telling me that I can reduce 80% of my headcount and still make the same, if not more money, and return that value to my shareholders? I'm not sure there's many businesses out there that don't raise their hand and say, me next.
Yeah. Well, that's an offer it can't be refused.
Correct.
And I'm not generally apocalyptic, right? But at the same time, if we just look at human history and how we as humans treat each other, the answer is it's generally pretty poorly, right? And so at the point that these jobs become eliminated, many people, our listeners may realize the unemployment rate is slightly over 4% across the country. Some places as low as 2%. You fellas want to take a stab at the highest unemployment rate for new college graduates right now? Recent study, Harvard.
Which segment? Or?
Yeah. Which degree path did you have to be the highest unemployment rate as you come out of
Software developer.
Yeah, computer science
there
in
it is.
general.
Set over 7%. They cannot find a job, and you know what? They're not gonna.
Yeah.
And say what you like. You could agree or disagree. This is just based on what I can see. And then you extrapolate that, and you come back to what Mustafa's saying, right? You listen to what Pete Buttigieg is saying. These jobs are going away. That is my view. So now when there is widespread unemployment, think millions and millions of people unemployed. What happens? Do the ultra wealthy retract and protect themselves and live off their money for, I don't know, how long does it take for most of the population to starve? 60 days? No, I'm not kidding, right? Like,
Yeah.
Well, so that's path A, and this is a thought exercise, right? So we're, I love this. We're whiteboarding possible scenarios because we listen to these thought leaders and professionals from the Microsoft universe, from the Google universe, from the tech sector in general. And even outside of that, we've had Brian Marshall from VelocityNet on this show a few times. And I had an epiphany moment with him. And that is, now, how it manifests itself, I think, is another interesting conversation for all of us to have. His point was, okay, that's all well and good. Companies are making cash over fist, doing more with less, But because AI is indiscriminate across industries, sectors, geographies, you get unemployment. Pretty soon, how are we keeping you, Mr. and Mrs. Billionaire, to your lifestyle if people can't afford to buy your shit? I mean, think of that at a macro level. Businesses are successful because they're selling to consumers. When the consumers can't afford it en masse, what do you do?
if you listen to Peter Thiel, he will tell you let the technocrats run things, right? I mean, he's pretty plain, right? Most of us aren't smart enough to think our own way out of this. Many of us probably do need to perish for the good of the rest of the society, and let's let the smart people really run things.
Damn!
No, look him up. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, like, back to when corporate tax rates were burdensome or higher, I think that's another possible outcome, because companies that make billions don't need to make trillions, right? And if they're doing more with less, they can certainly sustain a more than comfortable outcome and living for their families and their shareholders while giving back to this universal pool.
Who's going to buy your product if we don't have jobs?
That's the point. So how do you solve that problem? I mean, are we in the state? I'm not going political here. But I think a universal business income. If people are unemployed and don't have the means to buy stuff, companies can't exist. Everything's automated, but our population keeps growing, and we're reducing. This is a real problem.
Yeah. Could you see AI regulated or guardrails put around it to slow the progress if in the event that it had these economic impacts?
Well, so the geopolitical side of me says never, because you have China and their empire, you have Russia and their empire, you have the Middle East and their empire. I mean, everybody wants a piece of this.
And that's what Suleiman says. Suleiman's basically like, look, the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
This is an arms race between China and Russia. Look, good news. We like to think of ourselves as Americans, right? We're the good guys, right? At least the West. We recognize human rights. We recognize the right to try to succeed.
Yeah.
But, turns out the bad guys can have this technology too.
And they do.
Right? And so because if you haven't trained an AI agent yet, I promise you it's not that tough.
No.
And what these things are going to do in our world, nobody knows.
Yeah, I remember not that long ago, I was wondering why in the hell, and this was on the credits of one of our last episodes, demonstrating what AI prompting does, so 3 people in a Times Square-esque background having a street conversation. It's all AI, all prompt created. Because I remember before, I'm like, God, the Screen Actors Guild, with all those strikes in Hollywood. I'm like, jeez, they're taking this shit seriously. It didn't really click until you see what AI can create. What was that James Cameron movie, the animated one? Shit, he made a boatload. Avatar.
Oh, sure.
So Avatar at the time, there was an ungodly amount of money to make. AI turned around and made it for like $100,000.
Right.
And this was hundreds of millions.
Just as realistic. The characters in the original Avatar were very realistic.
So think of the unemployment just for the movie industry, for how things get creative.
Right.
Like I'm saying, it's hard to wrap your brain around this.
I'll make it easy. If you sit at a desk for your job is probably not going to be here in 10 years. There it is. That's my rule. That's what I think.
So. Mm-hmm. I think so. And, so the very CEOs that high-five their teams about being on the forefront of AI and planting technology flags, and I applaud them all. I mean, we have clients that are now saying, we want to be recognized as a technology company. I salute it. But for CEOs in general, you think of this fractional space. Here's another possible outcome. I feel like even positions at the boardroom level no one's immune from this. No one.
That's right. Hey, do you really need a CEO every day?
No.
You need somebody to ship product every day.
Yeah, you do.
You need somebody to pick that product or make that product every day.
Right.
You don't need a CEO every day. You probably don't need a chief of human resources every day.
No.
You don't need a sales manager every day. The fractional, I think it's coming.
I do too. And of course we're biased. This is the world we live in, but we're seeing it. I mean, you look at recent reviews from The Economist, Forbes, Harvard Business Review, they're all saying the same thing. 33% of CEOs that were onboarded in H1 of 2025 were fractional or interim.
Whoa, what's that number again?
33%. Wow. Were fractional or interim. Now, it could be for a variety of reasons not tied to this AI topic. PE firm takes over, there's the need to swap out leadership, so they bring in an interim until they can cement someone in, whatever. Point is, when you think of the fractional space, it kind of bakes that concept into the cake because they themselves find themselves in that position.
So look, Brad, you're dealing with companies every day in the field. Like, what are these business owners telling you? What are they saying?
Yeah. Well, we're in the friendly Midwest. We may be slow adopters to some extent. I haven't heard or seen a lot of concern around AI or the possibility that jobs would be lost around it. I mean, we're in the home of RV and home of manufacturing. But having said that, as Mustafa and others said, it doesn't discriminate. There's no one that will be immune from the power of AI and efficiencies that it could create. But if I were to summarize it, Tom, I would say this would be an emerging topic and not one that is keeping people up at night, at least in my region of the country.
Yeah.
That may or may not be a fair characterization. But
no, this is good though, right? Yeah. This is good because like you think, so you mentioned the desk job. If your job today is sitting at a desk, it's probably gone in a matter of years. What about in the manufacturing space? People have to produce stuff. Now, there's robotics in it already, right? But how pervasive does that get?
All right, just so I'm the naysayer.
Yeah.
Once AI teaches robots to master tensile dexterity, it's over.
All right, so this reminds me of a story. Share the story about, was it Go?
Oh, sure. Okay. So many people remember when Big Blue, IBM's Big Blue, beat Gary Kasparov in chess. It was a huge moment, right? Best chess player in the world. What a lot of us in the West don't realize, there's another game called Go, big in Asia. And it is by some massive factor way more complicated than chess. Way. And so they entered as AI started to be a thing. Mustafa and his team, this is before Google bought him. He worked at Google and then AI before he went to Microsoft. But when he was just people trying to prove that they could make AI work, he and his team entered their AI agent in a Go tournament. And the Go championship, it's like the Super Bowl in the West. I mean, tens of thousands of people come to see this thing in person. It's watched on TV by millions. And so you'll see it's Move 37. It's famous. You'll look it up. But at Move 37 in this tournament, the whole place groans. We knew it was too good to be true. The robot, the computer just could not hang with the intricacy and the romance and the nuance of Go. And in 7 moves, the computer won. A strategy nobody ever saw before. No human ever saw it.
So there was no human ever saw it, meaning like this has never happened before, ever, in the history of Go.
Right.
But help me with something. If you have to teach AI, how did it figure that out without a human teaching it?
So So there's artificial general intelligence, which is widely considered to not be achieved yet.
Correct.
Right? Which means truly original thought. And then there's artificial intelligence, which tries to intuit or best predict the next appropriate response based on all the data it has right now.
So that's akin to the computer or AI is kind of thinking through this on its own.
So it's made a million moves before its move.
Right.
And here's the big difference.
Yes.
This could be a good move.
Correct.
Here's the big difference. Big Blue and Kasparov, they call that a brute force test, meaning that I'm not going to get this math right. But if there was 75 million possible moves at this given moment, Big Blue just went through all 75 million of them.
Correct.
And said, here's what you should do.
That's right.
What happened in Go and where they first learned it was free cell. So if you guys are just computer game freaks, free cell is where they taught this first AI model to play. But it intuits. There is no obvious next right move. It intuits what it thinks the next right move is. And through that intuition, it actually uncovered a novel strategy that no one had tried before. Mm-hmm. It's a really significant difference.
Yeah, that's a great distinction, though, because it has such application for folks like myself that are learning and curious about AI.
Right, and back to ChatGPT 5.0 was built in part by 4.0 learning about itself.
But ChatGPT is a combination of human input and teaching and computer intuit?
Not really. So there's models that get built, but they just feed these models. And by feed, they just load information. Like it's read the entire internet. You may or may not read that. These models have read the entire internet, all of it. And then what the humans do, Brad, is then they try to put some guardrails around there, right? Let's not make genocide an acceptable answer ever. Right? Now, the bad guys, here's the bad guys. Bad guys remove that guardrail.
And their models, correct.
Right. Their models are like, let's only make the fill in the blank, us and them. I hate us and them conversations, right? Go back, read Animal Farm. Us always get smaller. Pretty soon I'm them. Every time. I got a ponytail. I'm Catholic. I'm liberal. Sooner or later, they're rounding me up, man. And so, you know.
3 strikes again.
Yeah. 3 strikes, right?
He's calling them 3 strikes.
But fill in the blank, right? You know, people talk a lot of things, and I'm trying to stay out of the politics of this, but these are complicated issues. People want to simplify things. For 4,000 years, we've been trying to figure out the Middle East, right? I don't care who you support. It's complicated. It's really complicated. Mm-hmm. And these things are going to come to a head. And as a society, we're going to have to deal with them. And if we have widespread unemployment as a result, and I don't mean hundreds of thousands, I mean tens of millions of people unemployed, billions of people throughout the world starving. That's without universal basic income, right? Like if we don't get ahead of this,
right,
then historically, and go back 1,500 years, the rich people build walls. They hire armies that look like Brad to keep the rest of us in line, and they wall it off. And if a few million people have to starve here and there while we stabilize things, well, don't worry, folks. You probably won't starve. We'll take care of the ones that are kind of okay. That's what we do.
Yeah, no, I know. Again, that's why I love this thought exercise, because I do think, think of how easy it is to just check out at a grocery store. It used to be the self-checkouts. This was like millions of dollars of investment. Now, half of them are 3D printed, and it's nothing to drop them in and walk away, and because it's all governed, it's all easy to use. So it just will continue to become more and more and more and more pervasive. The fact that there's human beings still checking people out is because there's still a population of, I don't want to bag my own shit. I want someone else to bag their groceries,
Right.
But yeah, again, that's another, back to the genie out of the bottle. Like even going to Lowe's, Home Depot, buying lumber, things that you just don't bag. Those are still, get my gun, I scan it, it tells me where to put the cash, have a nice day.
Here's what Suleiman says, right? So you say, how do you govern it? How are you going to shut it off? Are we going to turn off the entire internet? Are you going to shut down all these network computers?
Capitalism combined with geographical powers, the answer is no.
You can't.
You can't, because even if I ban an app or something off of that, the competition swoops right in. That's an opportunity to take market share, right? And then even if the U.S. says completely banning this model from over there, I don't even think that's possible. Internet's global. People will always find a way to gain access.
Well, and the supermarket Lowe's example that you use is, my patience has never been my strength, but I'm used to now no line at a checkout, handle my own scanning, go on Amazon, click a couple radio buttons, have the product at my doorstep the next day. I don't want you to turn it off. And I'm 57 years old. I'm somewhere in between the people that still go to a checkout with a cashier and a millennial that wouldn't even consider going to a checkout. But so I don't want you to turn it off. I like that lifestyle.
You could believe I was behind someone the other week who busted out a checkbook in the checkout line.
Outstanding.
I almost went to prison.
Right. Well, that's still probably faster than digging through a coin purse to get 37 cents out of a change. I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Who carries change?
It's funny. I was talking with a friend, and as I've gotten older, I try to be careful with this term, but he's an older friend, and he said, I like to talk to the people. And you should have seen his face when I said, what if you can't tell with who you're talking to is a real person or not? That's coming. You will not be able to discern whether this is a real person or not.
There are millions of people who have an avatar girlfriend or boyfriend. Millions. Now, the psychologists' heads explode because it's all take, no give, all take, in that type of, but I don't know, is the net benefit okay that I can just unwind and vent to someone that appears to understand and care? I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, but that's already a thing.
Right.
Virtual relationships. And they're, of course, everything inevitably goes to the porn industry, but it sells. And yeah.
The reason the internet exploded was largely pornography.
Sure was.
And whatever drives adoption is gonna make things pervasive, because once you're using it for one thing, you'll use it for another thing.
You have to, as a company in business, you have to embrace AI. You have to. If you don't, your competition is or will, but at the same time, what the potential ramifications are. You still got to protect your data, and there's privacy, and there's to me, the certainty of unemployment within your organization. So how do you
balance it?
How do you balance it? Exactly. Right. Yeah, that's the challenge for every business that's out there.
And, Brad, you do this for a living. Like, are underwriters evaluating this type of risk? Like, what do company owners do?
Well, certainly in the underwriting world, AI models are being used more widely to assist with decision-making and selection of risk. But I've not seen an application where the use of AI within an organization has frightened or scared an underwriter from underwriting the business to the traditional lines of insurance. Now, good questions are being asked on cyber insurance and cyber liability applications around the utilization of AI, but I think that's even in its early stages of understanding the types of risk and loss exposure that might present itself as a result of AI.
And like any new thing in business, we've historically have had a generous amount of runway to figure things out.
Right.
And are companies' feet held to the fire on AI adoption? No, but that runway is so short.
Yeah, it's going to happen quickly.
Yes, and by the time someone gets their arms around it, the game has changed.
Yeah, and I have been exposed to a loss around a deep fake technology. If we put a nude body on your head, Tom, and some might find that entertaining or funny, you might find that offensive in a hostile work environment and want to litigate over the matter because it harmed your image. That's disturbing, but the technology's there.
It is so easy to do. And back to sex sells.
Right.
Where do you think a lot of creativity and dollars go to? Equally, I'm not saying it.
Right.
But yeah, because like the whole Yeti, like I don't know if you've seen these Yeti videos out there. They're everywhere. Even one of our own clients is making a version of the Yeti in their solution that they're pitching. Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's entertaining. It gets clicks. It gets views.
Invites copycats, right? Everybody
Absolutely.
wants to do it. Yeah.
But what's really cool, but also concerning, is how realistic.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what a business owner is to do if this happens to its employees within the workforce.
Correct. Or the company gets slandered in general on a deep fake.
Right.
Not even tied to an individual, but the corporation as a whole.
Right.
How do you address it, govern it, protect it? Yeah, these are all
new and emerging risk.
Yeah.
New and emerging, for sure. Right?
That's right. All right, gentlemen. Well, hey, this is, I love this topic. I feel like we could have this every week and there'll always be something new to share. Brad, thanks again for spending time with us today.
Enjoyed the time. Thank you.
Always good to see you.
All right. Until next time. Thanks.
All right. Take care.